Keith Urban is making huge news in the music world right now. He used to be a smooth, safe, and normal country singer that everyone knew and loved. But now he's changed so much that people can barely recognize him anymore. He got divorced from his wife, brought in completely new people to help him with his music, changed his whole sound, and is being really cold and super firm about everything he does. Every single choice he's made lately shows that he doesn't want to go back to how things used to be. And he doesn't feel like he needs to explain anything to anyone at all. This is a massive change in his life, and everyone in the music world can see it happening right in front of their eyes. Keith Urban officially ended his almost 20-year marriage with Nicole Kidman by doing a bunch of things that made it super obvious to everyone. The divorce happened at the end of September, but it really seems like he had decided to do it way before that time even came. Urban moved out of the big house where Kidman and her two daughters were living together. And he didn't say a single word to anyone about this absolutely huge change in his personal life. When Keith Urban showed up at his very first concert after everyone had heard the news about the divorce, he wasn't wearing his wedding ring on stage anymore. One of his most popular songs that was all about Kidman, called The Fighter, was completely gone from his list of songs to play during shows, even though it used to be a really big part of most of his concerts before. When he sang another song called You'll Think of Me, he actually changed some of the words from the normal version to something different that showed exactly how he felt about his ex-wife now. The whole concert that day was pretty much the same as usual, except all the parts that were connected to Kidman just weren't there anymore at all. Someone who is close to Keith Urban told reporters right after everything happened, the changes weren't quiet or random at all. They were all connected together like steps in a plan he already had in his mind. On all his social media accounts, Urban went through and deleted every single post that had Kidman in it, even the ones that didn't really look that personal or romantic. No new updates about it, no explanations to his fans, and absolutely no responses to people who were asking questions. Everything he did on social media went in the exact same direction. No talking about what happened, just doing things quietly and moving forward with his life. His marriage to Nicole Kidman didn't just end in a normal way like most divorces do. It was a really clear and totally on-purpose turning point in his whole life. And it happened at the exact same time as a whole bunch of other major changes he was making. An article in a big music magazine said Keith Urban is not calm and balanced anymore. He's breaking down all the old walls and rebuilding everything from the very beginning. Shortly after the divorce became completely official, even more things started changing with his work team. Band members that he'd been working with for many years, including some guys he was super close to as friends, started leaving one by one. These changes definitely weren't accidents, and they didn't happen slowly over time either. Instead, Keith Urban made all these big decisions at the exact same time he was trying to leave his entire past behind him. A music producer who had worked with Keith Urban on 3 of his most recent albums explained it really simply. He doesn't want to bring anything old into whatever comes next for him. The way Keith Urban got rid of his connection to Kidman, ended what used to be called a perfect marriage by everyone, and completely rebuilt his entire live show in just a few weeks isn't just a normal response to change. It's a whole bunch of careful actions that show an artist going in a totally different direction, and absolutely not dragging anything from his old life with him. He didn't make any long speeches or share personal stuff when he came back on stage. He just showed up as a performer. But his look, his words, and his band had all changed completely. Every small thing meant something. From what songs he picked to what clothes he wore to how far away he stayed from personal topics. The way Keith Urban handled all this felt like he was erasing an old computer program and putting in a brand new one, said a music expert from Rolling Stone. The band that had been playing with him for many years was almost completely replaced with brand new people. The most famous person who left his band was Jerry Flowers, who was the bass player and also the band leader. Flowers had been with Urban since the very beginning of his time making music in America, showing up with him at almost every single big tour, music project, and TV show appearance. When he stopped working with someone he'd worked with for such a long time, there was no public announcement made. No thank you posts on social media or anything like that at all to recognize their time together. The change wasn't just about one single person leaving either. Other band members left too. The new people he brought in were much younger and not nearly as famous as the old band members were. They'd never even played with Urban before this at all. They just joined his band without any big introduction or announcement to the public. Someone who knows the music business really well confirmed that Keith Urban himself personally decided to change out the whole band. And nobody from outside his team told him he had to do it. He wanted to create a completely new sound, bring in fresh new energy, and totally stop any connection to what came before in his career. At the time of the big change, none of the old band members said anything publicly. And Keith Urban didn't mention anyone's name in shows after that happened. On stage, you can really easily see the change. The way the band members talk to each other and how the instruments work together is totally different now. Right after he changed his band, Keith Urban started to rebuild how his music sounds in a totally different direction. The new songs on his album, called I Don't Have That Comfortable Old Country Feeling Anymore at All. The way he writes his words, picks his topics, chooses his sounds, and how the songs are actually built all show that he's breaking away from the old way of doing things. This album was a big marker that showed Keith Urban was going into a new time, with his own personal style and without just copying what people liked before. In a song called Straight Line, Keith Urban uses simple word pictures to show how bored and lost he feels stuck in groups and rules he'd been following for so long. The song's melody isn't super hard, but how it's made is using computers and electronic sounds. The beat is pretty fast, making it feel really modern and kind of heavy. This is one of the first songs he's ever done that sounds almost nothing like country songs. During an interview backstage while he was promoting his new album, Keith Urban said it plain and simple to everyone listening. This time, I don't have to make anybody happy. I do it exactly how I want. There is absolutely no hidden meaning behind those words at all. Love is hard keeps going in that same direction. Instead of happy love songs like he's had on lots of other albums, this song shows love as mean, straight, and kind of bitter. The album High doesn't have any big famous country artists on it at all. After changing all his music, Keith Urban started to look at his own past differently. Keith Urban has talked openly in the past about his old problems with drinking and using drugs, a time that really messed up his career and made his life go totally crazy. But starting in 2025, he shows clear signs that he doesn't want people to connect him to that story anymore. When Urban went to the hospital in 2006, the news media talked all about it. At that time, Nicole Kidman got him to go to a place to help him fix his drinking and drug problems. But he hasn't talked like that at all in the last 2 years. Since 2023, Keith Urban has stopped mentioning the places that helped him when he was getting better. All the stuff about that topic has also been erased from his social media and official websites. Keith Urban has also totally changed how he works with the news and media in general now. In recent years, he's made much clearer and stronger limits with reporters. And he stopped sharing about his private life almost completely. Everything he does away from the stage is watched very closely and carefully now. Interviews that he used to do all the time don't show up on big TV shows anymore like they used to. Urban almost never says yes to talk shows or fun entertainment programs anymore, unless it's exactly and specifically about his new music that's coming out. News places that have worked with him for years have also stopped getting answers to their interview requests. The way Keith Urban acts on stage also shows this big change really clearly to everyone watching. In his recent shows, he doesn't talk to the crowd nearly as much as he did before. He doesn't share personal stories anymore and doesn't spend as much time showing his feelings and emotions like he always used to do. The show is kept really short for talking, with everything focused on just the music. The goal is super clear to everyone now. Put up a strong wall between the artist and the people watching him perform, so that nobody can get into his private business at all anymore. Keith Urban keeps his social media pretty empty and simple now. Posts are about tour dates, new music coming out, or behind-the-scenes photos, with nothing personal at all in them. At big parties and events, Keith Urban doesn't show up with famous family or friends like he used to. He doesn't walk red carpets with his family anymore. Even when people see him at shows or backstage after concerts, he's always alone, or just with his manager and helper who works for him. The way Keith Urban keeps his personal stuff secret makes it almost impossible to find out about his life outside of music. Keith Urban is on a totally new path in his life now. Clearer, tougher, and he doesn't look back at his past anymore.